Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey there, nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another episode of the Golden Age. This is our series of Warhammer Fantasy Battle Reports, and this is Battle Report number 137. This is a 3,000 point battle that has fought between my Lizardmen, the Lizards of Waz, versus my good friend Mama Khan with her Ogre Kingdoms army, the Legion of the Hellmouth. So it's been a while since Mama Khan and I threw down for Warhammer Fantasy Battle, so it's good to have her back again in the studio. I do, of course, have to worry and have my work cut out for me. And the reason why is because Mama Khan is my kryptonite. For whatever reason, I cannot defeat her whenever she's playing Ogre Kingdoms armies. So I'm going to try my best to see exactly if my Lizardmen can actually do it as well. At the same time, this video is also kind of cool for another reason, besides playing Mama Khan again. This is also the very first time you guys noticed, but I'm actually using the video format for Warhammer Fantasy. For those of you guys who are longtime viewers of the show know, I usually do narrations where basically I take photos of the battlefield to narrate over the photos. However, recently I've been using this video formatting for my Necromunda Battle Reports to great effect. And so now I'm going to use exactly the same kind of format for our Warhammer Fantasy Battle Reports. So we'll see exactly how it works out. Alright you guys, we're going to play some background music real quick. As the music is playing, we will show you photos of both armies as well as the rosters. If you want to see exactly what we're taking for this one, go ahead and pause and take a look at your own leisure. So that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll.
Crom, I've never prayed you before. I have no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad. Why we fought, or why we died. No. All that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Balor pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then the hell with you.
Alright, so now that we're done with our rosters, let's go and talk about the scenario rules for this one. The scenario rules for this one is Battle Line. It is the most typical game of Warhammer Fantasy that we play on this channel, with standard victory conditions as well as standard deployment. Standard deployment being 12-inch deployment zones with 24 inches in between your opponent's bad deployment zone as well as your own. Standard victory conditions, you get 100 points for every unit that you destroy as well as their point value. Same thing with the extra 100 points that you get for killing generals as well as battle standard bearers. So, with these scenario rules over, let's go and talk about deployment real quick. Alright, so let's go and start with my deployment first. Over here in the center, the right-hand side of the left-hand side of the battlefield, I'm sorry. Vanguard up forward, those are my Charizards. 3 Pterodon Riders with Fire Leech Bolas. Right next to them is the Karma Chameleons, 28 Skinks with 3 Kroxigor with great weapons. I also have 2 level 1 Wizards in here, both of them Skink Priests. One has the Lore of Heavens, the other one has the Lore of Beast. The Lore of Beast guy has, his name is Snarl, he has the Amber Spear for his spell, as well as the Cube of Darkness, and the other one is Slag. He is a Lore of Heavens. He's also got the Dispel Scroll, and he has the Helmet of Cassandora. Right next to them is the Squirtle, as well as the Totodile, which is a Trollgut. Decided to change up my list a little bit and see exactly how the Trollgut actually works for the army. Decided to drop the Bulbasaur finally, and I also upgraded this rider with a Divining Rod, so that way I get additional channels. Right next to them over here, on the right hand side, is the Guacamole Guards, my huge honking unit of 32 Temple Guard, with halberds, light armor, as well as shields. They also have full command as well. They also have the standard discipline. And leading this army, of course, is Kermit the Slam, my level 4 Slam Mage Priest. He's got the ability for Lore Master for high magic. He also gets to roll multiple dice for his channeling attempts. He also got his channeling staff for +1 for channeling dice as well. He's also my army's battle standard bearer. Right next to them is the Desaurus. He's 40 Saurus warriors with Musician standard bearer as well as shields. Big honking unit right over here on the right hand side. After that, of course, with the Jurassic Jousters, 10 Cold One Knights, basically, no, sorry, not Cold One Knights, sorry, Cold One Saurus Cavalry, Cold One Riders. Their armor shields, they also have spears, they also have light armor, they're also mounted on cold ones, which is also kind of awesome. And then finally, we have Gatorade as well as Powerade. Gatorade is my Saurus Old Blood. He has also got a great weapon. He's also got the Armor of Destiny, giving him a heavy armor as well as a 4 board save. He's also got the Dawnstone to reroll his failed armor save. He's also mounted on a connoisseur named Powerade. Powerade has got Loping Stride as well as Blood Roar. And that makes a deployment here for the Lizards of Waz, my 3,000 point Lizardmen army. So moving on to Mama Khan's deployment, on the left-hand side we have Mashaf, the Destroyer of Worlds. He is basically a Stonehorn with a rider on top. Right next to them are the Storm Seekers. You have 5 Ogre Bulls with Standard Bearing Musician. They also have hand weapons as well as Iron Fist, and leading that unit is Shan-Yu, level 2 Firebelly. He's got the Hellheart as well as a great weapon. Right next to them is Stinkgum's Legion, is a huge honking unit of 10 Iron Guts with full command. They also have great weapons as well as heavy armor. They also have the Dragon behind banner as well. Leading them, of course, is Tai-Jinn Khan, the Right Fist of Hell, level 4 Wizard. He is a butcher. He's a butcher. He's also got level 4 wizard with the Lord of the Great Maw. He also has glittering skills and fencer's blades. And right next to him, of course, is Khorghul Khan, his battle standard bearer. He's got a gold sigil sword, so that way he's got a 10 initiative on his attacks. Giant breaker, big man, give him +1 strength. At the same time, he has to accept any challenge that's given to him as well. Right next on the right hand side, that is the Red Rovers, unit of 6 Ogre Bulls with musician standard bearer, hand weapons, and iron fists. Then we have the Powder Gangers, a huge unit of 8 Lead Belchers with a musician, which is absolutely terrifying. Then we have 2 Iron Blasters. One's called the Anvil of Hell, the other one's called the Hammer of the Gods, both absolutely terrifying. And then finally over here we got the Beast Claw Raiders, 4 Mornfang Cavalry with great weapons and heavy armor. They also have the standard of discipline, giving them +1 to their leadership as well. And then finally, Vanguarding up to 4, we got 2 Saber Cats. These guys are named Dolkana as well as Rosana. And they are actually Vanguard up 12 inches forward in order to take on my lines. So now that we're done talking about deployments for both groups, next we're going to do now is roll dice to see which of us will be going first. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 1, and in this situation, Mama Khan did get the initiative on this one, so she will be going first, and this is after the movement phase. So let's go ahead and talk about exactly what she did. First of all, over here on the left-hand side, Mashaf, the Destroyer of Worlds, did have to take a leadership test to see if he frenzied, and unfortunately for Mama Khan, she failed her leadership twice. The first time, of course, she failed, but she was within range of her battle standard bearer. She was able to re-roll it, but unfortunately for her, she still failed it, so she had to declare a charge directly into the Charizards. My Charizards fled back 10 inches as a result, and of course, Mashaf charged 4. I think he rolled like a 6, which was a 5 and a 1, so because of that, Mashaf, the Destroyer of Worlds, fails his charge, was up only 5 inches, and there he is right there, looking all sad. At the same time, the rest of the army pretty much just moves up forward, kind of gingerly, actually. My friend Mama Khan actually marched up both the Storm Seekers as well as the Red Rovers by only moving up the Stinkgum's Legion up as normal moon allowance. Now, I think the reason why she did that is so that way I can't charge against her Iron Guts too easily. If I do code 4, because my formations are quite large, I'll have to go into one of her actual other unit of bulls first, which will delay my attacks directly into her, which allows her to bide her time and also cause problems later on. At the same time, she also just moved up her Powder Gangers up to normal moon allowance, so that way they can open fire with their Lead Belchers, which is really terrifying because I have my really huge unit of Swords Warriors as well as Colwyn Cav, which is kind of crazy. At the same time, she also moved up Dolkana and Romana as well, so that way if I want to charge forward with my Cold One riders, I won't be able to do so against her main lines. At the same time, she also moves up the Anvil of Hell as well as the Hammer of the Gods, and then marches up her Mornfang Cavalry from the Beast Claw Raiders up the right hand side, marches them up for their maximum allowance of 16 inches. So that's pretty much what her plan is going on right there. Now, unfortunately for me, I won't be able to charge forward or take out her cannons because the dogs are in the way, but that's perfectly fine though, because I put this tree right in front of my Saurus Old Blood here, so that way it doesn't get blasted with cannon shot. Unfortunately, it does mean that the rest of my army is vulnerable to being shot at by cannons, but that is a risk I'm willing to take. My plan here actually is to actually charge forward both my Cold One riders as well as my Old Blood on a connoisseur directly into the Mornfang. Hopefully I can destroy them that way, and then sweep to the right. And while that's happening, what I'm going to try to do is send my infantry forces forward to take out the bulls and maybe Stinkgum's Legion if I can. At the same time, have my poisoned weaponed skinks here deal with Mashaf, the Destroyer of Worlds. At the same time, I'm going to Trollgut go with the flank and let loose with his Primeval Roar, so that way I get my Primal Fighters will get bonus attacks. Well, anyways, that's pretty much turn number 1 so far with movement. So with that, we're moving on to magic. Alright, so moving on to the magic phase real quick. Mama Khan actually had a pretty good magic phase in the sense that she got a lot of power dice. Unfortunately for her, though, I was able to generate a lot of dispel dice. And the reason why is because I have, 3, 4, 6 channeling dice in order to get all that information, all that additional dispel dice. I got my divining rod, I also got my focus of mystery, my channeling staff, all kinds of stuff. So in the end, Mama Khan was able to get off Trollguts directly onto the Red Rovers. So those guys do have 4-up regen. She did try to catch off Toothcracker as well as what's it called? The one for +1 strength and +1 toughness. She tried to get that off onto her Stormseekers, but was able to stop that pretty easily. She then took her last 4 dice and tried to throw a level 2 version of the Fireball spell directly into my Karma Chameleons. But lucky for me, that was able to dispel that one pretty easily as well. So my Mama Khan's magic phase was pretty lackluster, all things considered, because I just generated a bunch of dice to dispel her spells with. But that's perfectly fine though, and the reason why is because now we're entering the shooting phase, which is the real offensive capability of this army. So, turn number 1 with the shooting phase for the Ogre Kingdoms from Mama Khan. I actually got really lucky in the shooting phase. First thing that she did, of course, she opened fire with her lead belchers. Her lead belchers got 8d6 strength 4 armor-piercing shots, and they put them all directly into my thesaurus. And lucky for me, though, I only lost 4. I lost 6 of my thesaurus. So I got really lucky on this one. I think 2 things kind of helped me out. One is that she was shooting at range, so because of that, she had to roll a 5 up on her to hit my Source Warrior, so that really helped out a lot. Of those shots, though, still a significant number of them actually went through, which is 13 shots in total from the 26 that she got, so that was pretty good actually. But another thing that really helped me out is the fact that yes, I have toughness 4, so that kind of eliminates half of them, which is kind of nice. And then I also got a 6-up armor save, even with the -2 armor save, so I was really happy about that one. So Source Warriors, man, really tough. Took a full blast straight to the face from these lead belchers and lived to tell the tale. Now, of course, Mama Khan then activated both of her Iron Blasters, both the Hammer of the Gods as well as for the Anvil of Hell. She decided to direct her shots directly into my Guacamole Guards. Unfortunately, though, she fired from 10 from the back, but unfortunately she rolled a 2 for both those times. She actually rolled again, but it rolled a 2 again for the second bounce. And so when she rolled for her bounce, she rolled a 6, so she landed 2 inches shy of just hitting my Guacamole Guards. That happened for the first one, and the second one, I think she was 4 inches shy of actually hitting them. So I got really lucky that those cannon shots didn't actually make their mark, so kudos to that. So with the shooting phase over with, there is no close combat, so we skip the combat phase and we go directly to the bottom of turn number 1 for the Lizardmen. Alright, so that takes us directly to the bottom of turn number 1 after the movement phase for the Lizardmen, and as you can see here, things have definitely taken a turn, which is all kinds of awesome. So let's go and talk about the first thing I did first of all. So first of all, I declared charges with Gatorade and Powerade, and since he's got the Blood Roar ability, which means that my opponent, Mama Khan, has to roll 3d6 for leadership tests. Take away the lowest one and stick with the 2 highest for all fear and terror tests. And since the Carnosaur does cause terror and is charging directly into the Beast Claw Raiders, they had to take a terror test, and as you can see in this photo, they failed that terror test. And they ran back 9 inches, fleeing through the forest and trying to escape the wrath of Powerade. The reason why is because these guys only have leadership 8. They're out of range of their standard bearer as well as their general, so they don't get any of those bonuses, and ogres don't have the best leadership, so they ran for the hills. So because of that, I then took Powerade and Gatorade and Powerade, and declared charge against the Anvil of Hell. And of course, the Anvil of Hell had to take a leadership test because of terror, and of course they failed that terror test, and they fled back 9 inches as well. So because I then decided to declare charge against the Hammer of the Gods, and they failed the leadership test as well because of Blood Roar, and they flew back 11 inches. As you can see right there, they're fleeing from there. So because of that, I then declare a charge against Dolkana. Dolkana failed his leadership test, ran back, I think, 8. Then I did against Romana, who failed and ran back 12. And then so finally I declared a charge with Gatorade and Powerade directly against the Powder Gangers. Unfortunately for me, I failed that charge miserably, so I only move up, I think, 5 inches, so I'm right behind these forests now. But that part was amazing. It basically caused Mama Khan's right-hand flank to collapse, and it's fleeing for the hills right now. Hopefully, they will not rally. If they don't rally, I just got rid of 2 Iron Blasters as well as more Fang Cavalry, which is all kinds of awesome. From there, for my next series of charges, I then declare charge the Source directly into the Red Rovers, and I make that charge no problem. Smashing directly into them, engaging them in close combat. I then do exactly the same thing with the Guacamole Guards. I declare a charge going smack dab right into the middle of the Storm Seekers. So because of that, close combat's going up next. So the rest of the moves after that is just normal movements as normal. I marched up my Karma Chameleons to protect the left-hand flank of my Guacamole Guards from Mashaf. I then reformed and then marched flew my Charizards over Mashaf, the destroyer rolls. I did try to drop rocks, But unfortunately for me, though, I didn't do anything against him because it's a Stonehorn. What was I thinking was going to happen? At the same time, I then also marched up Squirtle on the Totodile. They marched up 14 inches right between both the Dosaurus as well as the Guacamole Guard, so that way my opponent can't get off charges against them. So that part was awesome. And then finally, I then marched up my Jurassic Jousters, moving them from the base of the trees, moving them across the line of avenue of approach for Gatorade and Powerade, right over here between the forests. That way I can take on anybody that might turn around, or hopefully get a flank charge off directly onto the Powder Gangers. And that pretty much makes up my move phase for this one. So with the move phase over with, we go directly to the magic phase. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the magic phase next. So originally I had a really good magic phase. I had quite a bit of power dice. Unfortunately for me though, that once the Power Winds of Magic had rolled, my friend Mama Khan decided to unleash the Hell Heart, which is carried by Shan-Yu. Shan-Yu released the Hell Heart, and everybody within 25 inches, every wizard anyways, had to pick a roll on the miscast table, which is horrible. So first of all, for my guy Snarl, he actually got power drained, so because he's no longer a wizard anymore, forgot his one spell that he actually did have. At the same time, I also have another one called Detonation. I'm sorry, not Detonation, I'm sorry, Magical Feedback. On that one, Slag actually suffered a wound on that one as well, so that part was kind of sad. And at the same time, I also lost some dice for my power pool. Same thing happened to Kurt the Slan. He actually survived that blast as well, but I also lost some power dice. At the same time, Kurt the Slan actually rolled Calamitous Detonation, so because that 6 of my Guacamole Guard did die, so that part was kind of sad. At the same time, I think I lost 5 power dice in total, so that part was kind of sad. Now, I did try to cast Walk Between Worlds. I did try to cast that directly onto my skink, so that way they can move on to the flank on the left-hand side of the Stinkum's Legion, so that way they can start throwing some javelins directly into them. But unfortunately for me, Mama Khan actually stopped that spell from going off. At the same time, I also did try to cast Drain Magic. I tried to put it off directly onto the Red Rovers to take away the regen ability, but once again, Mama Khan was able to dispel that one. However, though, I was able to get off the boosted version of Hand of Glory, which is awesome. So because of that, my Thesaurus are now +2 weapon skill, ballistic skill, initiative, as well as movement, which is all kinds of awesome because that means my Lizardmen are now fast to the Ogres, which means I will be able to attack first, which is all kinds of awesome. So with the movement phase over with, magic phase over with, we skip shooting because these guys march. They won't be able to shoot at all. So because of that takes directly to glorious, glorious combat. Alright, so first of all, starting off with the close combat phase between the Thesaurus as well as the Red Rovers. In the end, I was able to put 5 wounds directly onto the Red Rovers, killing 2 Ogre Bulls and putting a floating wound on another one, and in the end, the Ogre Bulls were able to kill 4 of my Thesaurus. However, when it came to the combat resolution, I ended up with a combat resolution of 10 for the wounds that I actually caused, as well as for my ranks and charging and banner. Meanwhile, the Red Rovers managed to score 5 against that. So because of that, I do beat them by 5 on this one. And of course, my friend Mama Khan will need a roll on her break test to see if these guys break or not. And we'll come back shortly with the results. Alright, so continuing on the combat phase for the bottom turn number 1, my Thesaurus, of course, obviously broke the Red Rovers. My friend Mama Khan had to flee. I think she fled, 6 inches, and I pursued 7. So because I did overrun the Red Rovers and kill the last man, and besides that, because of my overrun, I also ran over Romana, killing that guy as well, which was the Saber Tusk, and I land directly right into the front of the Powder Gangers. So those guys will be fighting it out here in close combat here in the next turn. Now after that, of course, the next combat that took place was a fight between the Guacamole Guards as well as the Storm Seekers. What ended up happening is that Shan-Yu, which was the Firebelly, declared a charge. I decided to back down the charge of Kermit the Slam because he's my general, and I had my Reverend Guardian, which is the champion that's going to actually take his place. Managed to put 2 wounds directly on Shan-Yu before Shan-Yu, of course, has totally killed my Reverend Guardian, so that part was kind of sad. So with the rest of the combat phase, we fight as normal. In the end, I was able to get a combat result of 14 down. I was able to kill 5, put 5 wounds, put 2 more to kill Shan-Yu. I also put another 3 more on the back there, so killing another bull, and put 2 more on a floating one as well. So because I had that, plus combined my charge, my battle standard bearer, my standard, as well as my ranks, ended up with a grand total of 14 combat res in the end. And at the same time, Mama Khan ended up with 5 combat res with the 4 casualties she caused, as well as the standard bearer that she has. Needless to say, she will need to take a break test, and she will need to roll snake eyes, and if she doesn't, she's going to be forced to flee. So we'll talk about exactly what happens here in a second. Alright, so that takes us right to the combat phase. Unfortunately for my friend Mama Khan, though, she wasn't able to pass her break test. She had to roll Insane Courage. She did try to do it the first time and failed. Tried a second time using her Battle Standard Bearer and still failed. So because that, she fled back 6 inches. I pursued forward 7 inches, and just like that, I wiped out the Storm Chasers. And at the same time, Storm Seekers rather. And at the same time, I also managed to clip the Stinkums Legion as well. So because of that, Stinkums Legion will be engaged with my guys in the next turn, which is all kinds of awesome. And so that pretty much makes the combat phase for this one. So with combat phase over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Ogre Kingdoms. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of number 2 for the Ogre Kingdoms, and this photo is taken after the moon phase, so let's go ahead and talk about it. First of all, if you'll notice, there are no charges to be declared, but if you notice the 2 Iron Blasters as well as the Mornfang Cow that are over here in the upper right hand corner, they are completely gone. Unfortunately for Lady Dawn, not Lady Dawn, unfortunately for Mama Khan, she lost and failed all of her leadership tests for both her Mornfang Cow for the Beast Claw Raiders as well as the 2 Iron Blasters. So because of that, the Anvil of Hell as well as the Hammer of the Gods and the Beast Claw Raiders flee off the edge of the table, netting me some juicy points and also collapsing into her entire right hand flank. Meanwhile, she did a bunch of swift reforms real quick with her Powder Ganger so that way she can maximize against my Thesaurus. She also did exactly the same thing on the left-hand side here with Stinkums Legion. She also maximized as well, doing a swift reform to do that. At the same time, she did a reform with Shmashaf, the Destroyer World, so that way he's staring off directly into the left-hand flank of my Guacamole Guards. Which probably means I'm going to have to do a suicide mission with my Karma Chameleons as well as my Charizards to stop him from actually doing that, because that would cause all kinds of problems for my Temple Guard. And that pretty much makes the move phase for my friend Mama Khan. So with movement phase over with, we go directly to the magic phase. So we're back from the magic phase, or rather lack of a magic phase, unfortunately. When Mama Khan rolled for her power dice, she actually rolled a 3. She rolled a 2 and a 1 for the Winds of Magic. So because of that, she was able to get 3 power dice, wasn't able to channel another one. I got 2 power dice, but I was able to channel 3 more. So basically, I dispelled the one spell she tried to get off. She tried to get off Toothcracker, which gives her Stinkums Legion +1 toughness, as what she tried to do, but I dispelled that one very easily. I just used my power dice and have to use any of my Dispel Scrolls or my Cube of Darkness. So because everyone's engaged in close combat, there is no shooting phase. So with the shooting phase over with, we go straight to the combat phase. Alright, so continuing on the combat phase for the top of turn number 2. As you can see here, things do not look very good right now for Mama Khan. As you can see, I was able to kill 2 members of the Powder Gangers, and unfortunately for Mama Khan, she was unable to do anything back to me. Unfortunately, she just kind of flipped her rules for the most part. She was able to get 1 wound through, but I was able to armor save with a 6 on that part, so because of that, I'm perfectly fine. Needless to say, I ended up with a combat score of 10. I killed 6. I also have a standard as well as 3 ranks. She has nothing against me, and unfortunately for her, she will need to take a break test, and she will need to roll and stay encouraged to stand. Otherwise, she will with the break. And of course, I will of course pursue forward. And the reason why is because I have Primal Fighter on my special rules for my Lizardmen. So we're going to come right back with the break test and talk about exactly what happens next. Alright, so we're back from the break test. As you can see, unfortunately, Mama Khan did fail her break test, so she was forced to flee. I, of course, was forced to pursue. She fled back 8 inches, and I pursued 10. So just like that, I managed to chop down every last member of the Powder Gangers to the last man. Now, if you notice, the hill is gone, and the reason why is because I just wasn't able to fit my movement tray directly on top of that hill over there. So because of that, just use your imagination that the hill is there, and then my soldiers are right on top of it. And at this point, that Mama Khan actually decides to kind of surrender at this point. She only has her 1 unit of Iron Guts. She has her Stonehorn, and then she also has 1 Saber Tusk left. Meanwhile, I have a whole unit of Cold One still. I have my Old Blood on a Carnosaur. I still pretty much have a whole unit of Thesaurus, a whole unit of Skinks. I have my Troglodon as well as my Pterodons. She realizes there's no way she's going to be able to recap her points. So just like that, she basically surrenders, netting a victory for yours truly. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go directly to the post-game, to the after-action report, because this battle report is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Now it's time for the After Action Report. This is the part of the battle report we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the After Action Report for the Golden Age Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report number 137, and this one ended up being a victory for yours truly. In the end, I was able to score 1,946 victory points for Mama Khan, and Mama Khan was unable to score any points against me. For my losses, I actually didn't lose any of my units. However, for Mama Khan, though, she lost Shan-Yu, the Fire Fist, the Storm Seekers, the Red Rovers, the Powder Gangers, the Beast Claw Raiders, Romana the Blood Tracker, the Anvil of Hell, and the Hammer of the Gods. And just right off the bat, I was finally able to defeat Mama Khan. Granted, it took me 5 years to do it, but I was able to finally defeat her for the first time on my channel, which is absolutely fantastic. And it's kind of funny because I'm actually going through like a bit of a Squid Game moment right here. For those of you guys who've watched the film Squid Game, you know exactly what I'm talking about for that series. It's funny because I finally won a single game against dozens of games that I have lost against Mama Khan ever since I started playing against her Warhammer Fantasy Battle. And it was so funny because this is actually the first victory in years I was able to get against her. And like I kid you not, right after the battle she got done, she literally dropped the Thanos quote from Avengers the Infinity War. She literally said, "All that effort for one drop of blood," is what she did. It was so funny. It was so hilarious because that's pretty much how it worked. So like it took me 5 years just to get that one drop of blood, but you know what? It was worth it. It was awesome. So as it turns out, all I needed to do was just get Blood War in my army, and all I need to do is that's all I need to do to win against Mamacon from now on. Of course, this is also one of the major problems of playing an Ogre Kingdoms army. Their leadership is very much to be desired. Unfortunately, she was just too far away from her general, as well as for a battle center bearer, to do any help for her right-hand flank. So because of that, since her right-hand flank fell off the table, it pretty much freed me up to attack all of her infantry forces for the most part. Also, having Primeval Roar really helped out during this battle part, especially during the combat phase. All my Source Warriors pretty much have Predatory Fighter bonuses, which means that on a 6th they get additional attacks. But with the Primeval Roar ability from a Trollgut, it actually makes it to every single time I roll a 5 or higher, I got extra attacks, which really helped me out for my combat output, which this ability alone makes it far better choice than the Bastiladon. Nothing against the Bastiladon, it's just I don't like using any of my power dice in order to use its Solar Engine attack. So because I decided to use those dice for my actual spells, so having a Troglodon that gives me that buff for my troops, very, very nice. Magic was also a bit strange in this battle report. I mean, Mamacon and I both did have really good power pools, but unfortunately, when we actually rolled our dice to cast spells, we just rolled terribly for it. Not to mention, Mamacon popped that Hellheart right in the middle of the battle report. That really destroyed a lot of my stuff. The Hellheart still pretty much haunts my dreams on this one as well. And I was actually quite surprised by how much my Source Warrior was able to withstand the broadside that the Powder Gangers gave them with the 8 shots from those Lead Belchers with that huge barrage. Usually whenever I face against Iron Blasters as well as Lead Belchers, it just totally destroys me. But something was going on in this battle. At the same time, my Source Warrior was able to survive. And at the same time, Mamacon's Iron Blasters basically failed to hit both Squirtle as well as the Total Tile, which is my Troglodon. So that really helped me out as well. And so because that lack of shooting she was able to get off, I was able to charge into her, get in close combat, and quickly defeat her. And at that same time, that also brings my army's current record right now at 8 victories as well as 2 losses. And even though Mamacon's dice did abandon her in this battle report, it was still an epically fun time, and as always, I'm looking forward to fighting against Mamacon. So put this one in the books, guys, because I probably won this one against Mamacon, but I doubt it will ever happen again. So that's good for this week, guys. Please let us know how you feel about using this new video format for Warhammer Fantasy Battle Reports. Do you like it, or do you want to go back to the original way we used to do it? Please let us know in the comments below, because so far we're really liking using this video format for my battle reports on this channel. And it's probably what we're going to end up using for the rest of the time that we do it. So that's good for you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest, greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this week, guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.